name is Alexander, and today I'm going to give a class on Vaisnava Aparadha. And we're going to start. I forgot to put the. Where's that picture? Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate 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 Vasudevaya.
Hare Krishna. So today the subject is going to be Vaisnava Aparadha. Anyone knows what Vaisnava Aparadha is?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Offenses to other Vaishnavas.
Yeah, that's correct. We're going to explore this in more details today. Some of those nuances that is rarely exposed. And so, but why should we study Vaishnava Aparadha? Because, essentially because offended devotees destroys our bhakti, and we become unattracted to the service, and so we lose taste for doing any service when approaching the Supreme Lord. So the Rupa Goswami definition of the first offense is to blaspheme, Vaishnava Aparadha is to blaspheme the devotee who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. But to put it simply, is an offense against a Vaishnava.
Do we need to close the light for to read or not?
Not necessary. The small text is only for me. And so association with devotees is like fire. Sometimes it is feel like the sun, because it can burn the ignorance. When we surround ourselves with other Vaishnavas, it completely annihilates the ignorance gradually. And if you use properly, it gives warmth as well. But it is misused, it burns. So it is considered the most dangerous enemy of devotion, which is Vaisnava Aparadha and material desire. And this is the reason is put number one among the 10 offenses, because it's quite dangerous. And so offending la Vaishnava shuts the door to prema, divine love. We because of it creates obstacles and deviations, and therefore we are less inclined to practice devotional service, and we're struggling with chanting, and we do not enjoy association with other Vaishnavas because of it. Therefore, we should, and even a guru can fall if their disciple commits a Vaishnava Aparadha. So for this reason, we should protect ourselves, not just ourselves, but our guru, because we don't want our guru to fall because of our offenses. So Vaishnava Aparadha is also is compared with when you put in water on the root of a plant, and at the same time urinate on top of it. And even though we don't see immediate, the plant doesn't die immediately, but after some time, she ultimately dies. So in the same way, when we commit a Vaishnava Aparadha, we lose taste. And yes, so I'm going to share from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila in 1956. It says that if a devotee commits an offense at the feet of Vaishnava while cultivating the creeper of devotional service in the material world, his offense is compared to a mad elephant that uproots the creeper and breaks it. In this way, the leaves of the creeper are dried up. So here is a visual image to illustrate this verse. Just to imagine you're trying to take care of your garden, and you're cultivating the garden. You're growing flowers and other plants for years. And one day you commit a Vaishnava Aparadha, and the Vaishnava Aparadha is equal with this mad elephant that all of a sudden walks in your garden and destroys the whole thing. So our garden is compared with bhakti, and elephant is a Vaisnava Aparadha. So whenever we commit, even by accident, we with that word.
Allow the elephant.
Yeah, in that sense, we allow that elephant to we risk we risk the elephant to he gets angry and then he destroys everything. And in Adi Lila in 824 it says there are offenses to be considered while chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Therefore, simply by chanting Hare Krishna, it does not come ecstatic. So we can't just rely on. This simply explains that we can't just rely on chanting and then committing offenses. We should follow those 10 offenses, not commit them, and therefore because they destroys, they create obstacles in our devotion. So in Sri Padma Purana states, the blasphemy of great saintly person who are engaged in preaching the glories of Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the worst offense at the lotus feet of the holy name. One should not criticize the preacher of the glories of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. If one does so, he is an offender. The Nama Prabhu, who is identical to Krishna, will never tolerate such blasphemous activities, even from one who passes as a great devotee. So this highlights how serious it is, the Vaisnava Aparadha. And in Srimad Bhagavad 10:74-40, it says that one who fails to immediately leave the place where he hears criticism of the Supreme Lord or his faithful devotee will certainly fall down, bereft of his highest credit. So this also highlights even when we are present and we are witnessing someone's criticizing other Vaishnava, we should be very careful. And if we're not ready to defend them or to defeat them with arguments and reason, then we should leave. Because listening to a Vaisnava Aparadha is also agreeing with it. And therefore we become responsible for that and face the consequences, the effect of Vaisnava Aparadha. So one should therefore be very careful not to commit an offense against any Vaisnava Aparadha. And so the nature of Vaisnava Aparadha, it manifests through action, intention, words, and thought. We can commit an offense on the level of action. In fact, most of the time it is on the 3 levels. Action, on the level of thought, deeds, and speech. So it is especially if it's done intentionally. Words and thoughts. I forgot one thought. For example, if a very young child commits an offense, he doesn't pay for the same price an adult pays, because someone who's not aware of Vaisnava Aparadha, whenever a child commits anything, we forgive him. But when he becomes an adult, he becomes aware of it, he pays a different price. In the same way, when an adolescent commits a crime, usually his parents are responsible, right? But if he's already an adult, those intention cannot be excused anymore. So it is the same thing with among devotees, those who are not aware of certain things that are illicit, are not appropriate, and they commit, they still pay the price, but it's not the same when a mature Vaishnava commits an offense. He pays a much bigger price for that. So the mechanics of aparadha starts from pride, leads to judgment, to criticism in the mind, then speech. So eventually it leads to loss of taste of bhakti. The number one symptom of Vaisnava Aparadha is losing taste. And so our taste becomes contaminated. And therefore that also leads to association with low-minded people who are attracted to the lower taste. And even it leads to illicit behavior. So, yeah, what is that? So, aparadha is also compared with a spiritual termite. Anyone knows what's a termite?
Yeah,
It's a small insect that feeds on the woods, of the wood. And so it eats the foundation from inside while everything looks polished outside. So when we commit an offense, we become contaminated from within, but we still look polished from the outside. So it's not quite visible. And so the 4 deadly mistakes based on the book of Harinam Chintanami extracted the number of the 4 of them that are deadly mistakes to consider. Is to criticize someone for low birth, such as or he's a Shudra, or whatever his condition is in this society. This is a very serious Vaisnava Aparadha. Haridas Thakur was a Muslim, and yet he was initiated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we shouldn't do this mistake. To criticize, the second one is criticizing for past mistakes. It's better to make mistakes on the path of Vaikuntha than to be perfect on the route to hell. We often experience this among, in our relationship with others, perhaps in the past, in your relationship with your partner, perhaps. We're always reminded of things that we've done, even though we've corrected those mistakes. It's like, but you're still the same. Sometimes people say, you're still the same guy, the same person. You haven't changed. And they have this idea that people, it's impossible to change. People stay the same. The main, personality stays the same. And so, they just remind you of the past. Because of, they want something. So everyone has a history, just like Arjuna has history. And we shouldn't focus on the past, but focus on present moment. And the third one is criticize accidental fall downs. In Bhagavad Gita 9:30, the verse says that even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. So this verse is a little bit confusing because it can raise a question: what does it mean if one commits the most abominable action? If he is engaged in devotional service, he is to consider saintly. Does that mean that he can do anything, any crime? And so that question can arise. But obviously, it's not appropriate. Of course, he is going to be judged for his activities that is done in ignorance. But because he is situated when he's practicing, he's determined in his practice, he eventually will be purified. So in the purport, it says, sometimes, however, it may be seen that a person in Krishna consciousness commits some act which may be taken as most abominable socially or politically. But such a temporary fall down does not disqualify him. The material contamination is so strong that even a yogi fully engaged in the service of the Lord sometimes becomes ensnared. But Krishna consciousness is so strong that such a occasional fall down is at once rectified. Therefore, the process of devotional service is always a success. Such occasional fall down will be stopped in due course, as soon as a devotee is completely situated in Krishna consciousness. This should not be misunderstood. In the 7th chapter of Lord says that one who is engaged in mischievous activities cannot become a devotee of the Lord. This highlights that, of course, whoever is practicing mischievous activities cannot become a devotee of the Lord. One who is not a devotee of the Lord has no good qualification whatsoever. So a spark of bhakti will eventually bore all his sins. Yeah. And the fourth one is criticizing already corrected faults. And that's like walking a man who used to limp after a run marathon. After you run a marathon, your legs they don't listen to you anymore. And that's a good comparison to look for. Criticize already the corrected faults. Aparadhas to watch for. These are more subtle. Judging a devotee based on their body, age, disability, and looks. This is, for example, I've struggled with this one because I was obsessed with how people look, right? And it took me sometimes to overcome this. Sometimes you see why he looks like this. Look at his leg. Why he's not taking care of his legs. He's a Vaisnava or whatever. And so we actually, not everybody, but some of us, especially in the beginning, we judge other, especially Vaishnavas, based on how they look, based on how old they are, their condition, their job, if they are doing, let's say, less admirable duties, such as cleaning toilets or being a janitor, and at the same time they are practicing Krishna consciousness. So we shouldn't. This is another subtle aparadha. Or their social status or money, their popularity, thinking famous equals advanced. When I was looking for a guru to be aspired for, at first I was thinking, how do I choose my guru? I thought maybe whoever is popular, maybe whoever has the most devotees. And so it didn't take me long until I realized this is the wrong way to choose a guru. It's not. We shouldn't choose our guru based on how popular he is, but rather based on qualifications. We should choose someone who's advanced. And so their residence, only those of perhaps this is less prominent in Europe, but I heard among devotees this kind of conversation when they judge a devotee based on wherever they live. Only those in Vrindavan or temples are real bhaktas. Sometimes there is this kind of gossiping going on. This is also a Vaisnava Aparadha. So just hearing causes one to Vaisnava Aparadha. To lose piety, lose spiritual intelligence, and fall from devotional service. And essentially, when we criticize, we are getting their karma. And there is a popular saying that whatever you criticize, you create. So it's. Who knew that gossiping is accumulating karma? It's like a karma exchange. Looking for fault finding. It is. I'm going to share. Perhaps I'm not sure if I'm going to manage to read all of them, but I'll go through some of them. The subtle karma of Vaisnava Aparadha. Usually, these are more. They're not so popular because they are very subtle and very hard to identify. So one is mentally judging a devotee appearance or dress, as I mentioned. And the question we can ask ourselves is, do I think less of someone because of how they dress in kirtana or in the temple? And so criticizing the package, criticizing the package and missing the diamonds inside. You know? Don't judge the cover of the book. It's a popular saying. Or feeling superior to a new devotee. This is very prominent, especially in when you think, oh, I'm in the right place, I make the best decision of my life, and you start to compare. But we should ask ourselves, do I feel more advanced than others? Because this is when we feel like that, we are proud. So seniority isn't a badge; it's a burden of humility. And another one is gossiping about devotees behind their back. Yeah. And the question we should ask ourselves is, do I share faults more than glories? You know, when I'm thinking of when I'm tempted to speak of somebody, I imagine that Krishna is behind me and he's listening. Or more common is to imagine that the very person you are inclined to speak about is behind you, even though he's not there. In this way, you are always going to you are going to be more encouraged to speak about good and to praise him rather than to gossip him. And so gossiping is like vomiting and expecting others to enjoy the smell. Or correcting devotees in public to look smart. Yeah, this is you can easily observe this, especially in criticism in general. Criticism, what it does is it puts you above everybody. I criticize you so I can look better, or to make my condition look more better. And so we focus on belittle somebody. So all of a sudden I look so much better. I'm such a pure devotee. But am I correcting to help or to shine? We often want to shine to kind of, we need, because we want to attention. And in order for us to look better, we have to belittle someone. We don't have to do it, but this is one of the faults, subtle and common Vaisnava Aparadha. And or interrupting while they are speaking Krishna Katha, when they're speaking about Leelas. This is also a subtle offense. And the question we could ask ourselves is, do I value my words more than theirs? Sometimes we think that it's more important to speak than to listen. But there is a reason we have 2 years in 1 month. Right? So we can listen twice as much as we speak. But unfortunately, if the tongue is engaged in, if we eat unfavorable food, then we develop this urge to speak, and the rest of the senses become contaminated, and we cannot control it. And so it's important to listen twice as much as we speak. Mentally envying someone else's service or praise. When we see someone is promoted, we feel envious. This is also a subtle Vaisnava Aparadha. And so the question we could ask ourselves is, can I celebrate other success, or does it pitch me? Sometimes, I think people, some of you might relate to this. However, we by practice the devotional service, we we become pure, and we these kind of tendency are destroyed. So envy is like drinking poison, hoping others will suffer. Just like being angry, drinking poison and expecting others to die for us. And we're laughing at the devotees' mistakes. It is quite easy, especially when they make silly mistakes. But do I laugh with them or at them? You know, one time I had this experience when someone was mocking me, and I was upset. And I said, I actually approached him very kindly and asked, stop mocking me. It was a long time ago. And he said that I'm not trying to make fun of you. I'm trying to make fun with you. But I said, where do you see me smiling? You know, so he was focusing more on celebrating. The question was, do I laugh with them or at them? He was laughing at me, not with me. But he thought play of words will kind of pacify me. And so this way is another way to commit a subtle Vaisnava Aparadha. One popular one is withhold the appreciation. Do I wait for someone to be perfect before I praise them? Yeah. So appreciating costs nothing, but withholding can bankrupt our relationship. You know, sometimes we're being tough with each other, especially parents or relatives. They never, they don't appreciate the little things we do, or we don't appreciate the little things with them. But we're expecting them to do too many things, or before we praise them or compliment them, sometimes where people are greedy with words. But we should instead practice generosity, not just externally, but also internally. And be generous with words. It doesn't cost anything. It's free. And the only way actually to receive some compliments or some praise in our life is to give it. So you have what you give. In fact, the cycle of receiving begins when we start giving. So life, in fact, you could say another way, that life begins when we start learning to give. And one time, I gave something to I rather heard somebody saying that, why do you help? Why you're giving? Why are you so generous? And the person says, the reason I give is because I've learned how I give because I've learned how I know how I feel when I had nothing. Yeah. So if you're in that position, that's also a place of bliss, because it teaches you to become grateful and appreciate what you have, and encourages you to give. Holding grudges against a devotee. This is one subtle Vaisnava Aparadha. Can I remember Krishna more than I remember their mistakes? Yeah, but who he didn't make mistakes. Yeah, a person usually who didn't make mistakes, they didn't even try. The mistake itself is an indication that they are doing something. And so there is no such thing as it's not good to make mistakes, or it's not good to fail. Because fail is just first lesson. First fail. I forgot the
spelling.
Huh? First.
F-A-I-L.
Oh, first attempt in learning. Fail. Yeah. F-A-I-L. F-A-I-L, first attempt in learning. So we're learning through failing. Therefore, there's a popular book that's called Failing Forward, which means that whenever we fail, whenever we fall, we're already down, so we must as well pick up something. So failing is not an indication of something bad, but an indication that you're progressing, right? Just like if you don't get a promotion every single week, do you call yourself a failure? You don't. It's just steps to success. So yeah. Making a devotee wait to feel or feel unimportant. So the question we could ask ourselves, do I value their time like mine? Time is the most valuable asset. And we cannot have more time. Everybody has 24 hours. So whenever we associate with other Vaishnava, or especially if an opportunity arises to meet with a Vaishnava, to have their association, we shouldn't let them wait. And because this is one way to, it's pride or disrespect, and so therefore it's a Vaisnava Aparadha. And devotees are Krishna's VIPs. So we shouldn't make them wait at the reception. One of my favorite is selectively serving only senior devotees. Yeah. But do I serve who helps me or who needs help? Because in Krishna is the most pleased when we do service to other devotees, and not just senior devotees, but everybody we come across. If they need our help, we should. I look at it as an opportunity to become attached to Krishna and to become purified. So serving a hidden saint in a simple cloth. This is a joke actually. Serving a hidden saint in a simple cloth is greater. Competing in kirtana or preaching, it can be prominent. Do I want Krishna glorified or me? When we engage in service, we want to kind of experience. It's all about feelings, not about pleasing Krishna. It's very easy to fall into that state where it becomes a performance rather than pleasing Krishna. We are craving feelings. I feel, oh my God, it feels so good. I want to become part of this, or to be the center of the attention in kirtan. So competing in kirtan preaching. So like singing Hare Krishna to win a Grammy. And so publicly criticizing temple policy or devotees. And it's like, so the question is, do I speak to solve or to vent? To vent, it means to make known. We're trying to spread rumors instead of become part of the solution. So venting is good for pressure cookers, not for hearts. Thinking I know better than my guru or other disciples. And so the question is, do I compete or cooperate in service? If we disobey, we have all the excuses not to do it. But excuses are seducers. this one is especially important, not forgiving a devotee who repents. But if Krishna forgives, who am I not to? You know, because if you're not capable of forgiving someone's faults or someone's mistakes, why Krishna would? First, we should learn how to be compassionate, and therefore we can receive compassion. So holding grudges is like dragging corpus, and you suffer. We suffer. This is I often identify this. I'm not looking for fault finding, but this is very easily to find. Using sarcasm to put down devotees. As the sarcasm is indirectly the opposite of love. We're thinking is it's like the question is, do I hide cruelty in humor? Yeah, so it's like saying, I was just joking. This is the favorite line of every emotional terrorist. You know, they often justify their sarcasm by saying that they're being joking. Or ignoring devotees' needs. So do I ask how they are really doing? Or I only wait people to be interested in what I'm doing? So the best way to please Krishna is to care for his family, not just for specific people. Criticizing a guru or sinner even mentally. And so the question is, am I a fault finder or soul reminder? And so criticism is the most expensive karma you can earn. Just like I said previously, that criticism, whatever you criticize, you create. And whatever you create, you attract. And so, but whatever you love, you win. And or thinking that he doesn't deserve the mercy. Often we see people, perhaps because of our faulty perception, we might think that they don't deserve mercy. And this one is very popular when we interrupt in a devotee's japa to talk casually. Because it's important, usually service comes first. If they interrupt the devotee during their japa to do service, that's okay. But to do occasional, just to interrupt for occasional talk is a disrespect for Vaisnava Aparadha. So the question we can ask ourselves is, can this wait until their conversation with Krishna? Because when they chant, they essentially have direct association with Krishna. They are a conversation with Krishna. Since he and his holy name is the same. So it's like walking into a confessional booth and asking, hey, what's for lunch? They're actually having an intimate conversation with Krishna during their japa. So we shouldn't interrupt them for occasional conversation with them, but rather wait until they are finished. Another prominent one is expected perfection from devotees while ignoring our own faults. But the question is, do I zoom in on their wits or crop out mine? So your mirror is dirty, but you're polishing theirs. And this reminds me of the one of the Michael Jackson songs, where he says that if you want to change if you want a better world, look at anybody knows that? If you want to change the world, take a look at yourself or something with a mirror. Take a look at yourself and make the change, something like that. So we should look first at ourselves before trying to judge how they look. And the one hoarding service opportunities, and this is among devotees usually, when this means that when you take too many responsibilities to yourself, even and not trying to share your service with others, not allowing others to do service so they can get the mercy. This is one of the subtle Vaisnava Aparadha. So the question is, do I share seva joyfully or guard it fearlessly? So service isn't just isn't a pie. Sharing makes more, not less. Sharing, there's a saying, sharing is caring. How long do I have? Oh. So I'm not going to be able to read all of them. But using "I'm just being honest" to justify harsh words. We also say that. But am I honest or just unkind? And so truth without compassion is a sword, not a mirror. We often think that telling the truth, we're doing a great deal, but if it's not merged with compassion, it's actually cruel. Assuming others' realization are shallow. And so the question is, do I listen to understand or to outshine? Because even a child's voice might echo divine truth. Let me, I think I'm going to go further. So symptoms of having committing, these are the symptoms that we can watch for when we're committing Vaisnava Aparadha. Is loss of taste of chanting, dullness in the heart, heaviness in kirtana, critical mentally increases, no pleasure in association, increase of distraction and self-gratification, and chanting becomes mechanical as a result, and loss of discernment. But the most prominent one is loose taste in chanting. Our mind becomes destructive and is wandering, and the loss of discernment. Yeah. So when the holy name does not produce joy, it means the heart is blocked with some of these offenses. So we should really be careful about this. And solution and remedies for this is to apologize whenever we commit a Vaisnava Aparadha, is to apologize quickly and sincerely. Don't postpone it, but do it immediately. Even if you think you didn't offend them, even if you're right. A lesson I've learned from a leader, it says that when you're trying to be, if you're trying to win an argument, you might lose the person. You may win the argument, but you will lose the person. So it's glorify devotees publicly, and serve those you might have hurt. Is practice humility heals more than the words. So we should serve those who that we offended. Intensify chanting with prayer, such as asking for forgiveness and apologizing, and avoiding company with fault finders. And the most prominent one is to regular hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam, because this softens the heart and purifies consciousness. And so the word, have you ever questioned why the word influence has a flu in it? Influ, because flu is just like you can catch it, right? Mm-hmm. So if you how can you catch an attitude? So an attitude basically is something you catch, and the only way to catch it is to spend time with them. You spend enough time with them, and you catch a flow, and you can gauge an attitude, or you can catch the tendency to commit offenses. So Yeah. And so bhakti is like a candle of flame, and Vaisnava Aparadha is like the wind. And even though we have the candle, the wind can snuff in it. So the only way we can walk safely through this jungle of bhakti is to carry a sword of humility and a love of appreciation. And so for the last question we can ask ourselves is, what should I do now? Did I make a devotee's heart lighter today? Did I speak about the devotees as if Krishna was listening? Just like, when we should think, whenever we speak of others, to think that they are behind us. And did I love more than I judged? Yeah. So I hope I try to go through it quick because I had 1 hour. And with this, I'm going to conclude this class. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.